November 24th, 1971, the night before Thanksgiving. Somewhere over the dark forests of Washington state, a man in a business suit jumps out of the back of a Boeing 727 with $200,000 in cash strapped to his body. He is never seen again. No body, no parachute, no arrest, nothing. This is the story of D.B. Cooper, the only unsolved airplane hijacking in American history. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why, more than 50 years later, the FBI still has no idea who this man was. It starts at Portland International Airport. A man walks up to the counter of Northwest Orient Airlines and buys a one-way ticket to Seattle. It costs him $20, cash. The name he gives? Dan Cooper. Quick side note. The press later misreported his name as D.B. Cooper, and it stuck. So the world's most famous alias is actually a typo. Witnesses describe him as completely unremarkable. Mid-40s, white shirt, black tie, dark suit, raincoat. He sits in the last row, lights a cigarette, because it was 1971 and you could just do that, and orders a bourbon and soda. Then, shortly after takeoff, he passes a note to the flight attendant sitting nearest to him, Florence Schaffner. She assumes it's a lonely businessman giving her his phone number. She doesn't even read it, just drops it in her purse. So Cooper leans over and says very calmly, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." She opens the note. It says he has a bomb in his briefcase. He opens it just enough for her to see. Red cylinders, a tangle of wires, a battery. To this day, nobody knows if it was real, but here's what makes Cooper different from every other hijacker. He's polite. He's calm. He even pays for his drinks and tries to tip the crew. His demands are simple. $200,000 in cash. Well, that's about $1.5 million in today's money. 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. While the airline scrambles to get the money, the plane just circles Seattle for 2 hours. The pilot tells the 36 passengers there's a minor mechanical issue. Nobody on board even knows they're being hijacked. Think about that. This man hijacked a plane so quietly that the victims didn't notice. The plane lands in Seattle. The exchange goes perfectly. All 36 passengers walk free along with 2 of the flight attendants. In return, Cooper gets a bank bag with 10,000 $20 bills, and the FBI, cleverly, has photographed every single serial number. Why 4 parachutes? Investigators believe this was psychological genius. If he'd asked for 1, the FBI might have given him a sabotage chute. But 4? That implies he might force crew members to jump with him. Now they can't risk rigging any of them. Then Cooper gives the pilots very specific instructions. Fly to Mexico City. Stay under 10,000 feet. Keep the wing flaps at 15 degrees. Landing gear down. Fly as slow as the plane can safely go. These aren't random requests. These are the exact conditions you'd want if you were planning to jump out of a jet and survive. Whoever this man was, he knew aviation. And here's the detail the whole plan depends on. The Boeing 727 had something almost no other airliner had. A staircase in the tail that could be lowered in flight. No engines behind it. A straight drop into open air. Cooper knew this. Very few people did. At 8 p.m., the plane takes off again with only the pilots and 1 flight attendant, all locked in the cockpit. Cooper is alone in the cabin. He ties the money bag to himself with parachute cords, puts on a chute, and lowers the stairs. At around 8:13, the pilots feel the plane suddenly bounce, the pressure change of the stairs snapping back up. Somewhere over the dense, freezing wilderness between Seattle and Portland, in a storm, at night, in a business suit and loafers, Dan Cooper jumps and vanishes from history. The next morning, one of the largest manhunts in FBI history begins. Hundreds of soldiers, helicopters, boats. They comb the forest for weeks. They find nothing. No parachute, no body, no money, not even a footprint. The FBI interviews over 1,000 suspects. The case file eventually grows to more than 60 volumes. Then, in 1980, 9 years later, an 8-year-old boy digging on a riverbank along the Columbia River finds 3 bundles of decaying $20 bills. $5,800. The serial numbers match Cooper's ransom perfectly, and somehow this makes the mystery worse. The money was found outside the calculated drop zone. Did it float there? Did Cooper bury it? Did his body wash down the river? Every theory has a problem. The other $194,000 has never surfaced. Not one bill has ever been spent, anywhere, ever. Over 50 years, suspects have come and gone. Richard McCoy, who pulled off a nearly identical hijacking just 5 months later and was caught. But witnesses said he didn't match Cooper's face. Dwayne Weber, who allegedly confessed on his deathbed, "I'm Dan Cooper." His DNA didn't match the tie Cooper left on the plane. Robert Rackstraw, a former paratrooper with the perfect skill set, never charged. And then there's the comic book theory. Dan Cooper is the name of a French-language comic hero, a Canadian Air Force pilot who, in one issue, literally parachutes with a ransom. Was the hijacker a fan? Maybe even French-Canadian? In 2016, after 45 years, the FBI officially closed the case, the only unsolved air piracy case in American history. So, what really happened? Maybe he died on impact that night and the forest simply kept him. Maybe he landed, walked away, and lived a quiet life, smiling every Thanksgiving. Here's the strangest part. He hurt no one. He took the money, spared every hostage, said thank you, and stepped into the sky. Whoever he was, Dan Cooper won. Did Cooper survive the jump? Tell me what you think in the comments.